Matthew Stafford, Puka, Nacua, and the Los Angeles Rams host Baker Mayfield, Egbuka, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in a massive NFC showdown from SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California. This is going to be an awesome Sunday night football matchup. The first place in the NFC West, all by themselves, Los Angeles Rams, and the first place, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, both teams have teams right behind them. You've got the Seattle Seahawks, who the Rams just squeaked by, 61-yard game-winning attempt for Myers. The kick wasn't close, but I know Rams fans were very nervous about that one. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, well, the two losses to New England and Buffalo were very disappointing. This team is looking for a major bounce back. They started the season with a 5-2 record, and then they've lost 3 of 4 games against some very tough opponents. It all started on that Monday night against Detroit on the road with a loss. When Mike Evans went down, you've seen a little bit less of the proficiency of the downfield passing attack. I'm immediately looking at that to start this video. It is the passing game from Tampa Bay against the Los Angeles Rams secondary that probably doesn't have Quentin Lake in this game. He's been spectacular in the back end for the Rams the entire season. It's tough, again, making these videos earlier in the week to predict what will be the availability of certain guys. But look, we got to make this thing and get this game out here so everybody can enjoy the video. But Tampa Bay, it's not just that sense of it in the weapons that you can try and exploit when there's unavailable guys, because you've got injuries yourself to Chris Godwin. Is he available for this one? Bucky Irving as well. He hasn't played. He's been hurt for pretty much the entire season. Of course, no Mike Evans. And Tampa, they've been heavily reliant on the rookies. Emeka, Egbuka, and Tez Johnson. These guys have been major factors for them. Sterling Shepard, they've been working into the rotation, a bit more of a veteran presence. But against this Rams team, the biggest concern is number 8 and number 0, as well as Nate Landman behind Jared Verse and Byron Young. These guys have been terrific, arguably the best front 7 in the league. You could probably say that the Rams, with that performance against Seattle and then the way the Eagles looked against the Lions on Sunday night, that those are the best 2 front 7s in the NFC, if not the entire NFL. I think all of this stuff will sort itself out in the end. So Tampa Bay, it's just too tough when you come off a game with 200 yards for me to say they're going to be able to replicate that type of success against LA. Remember, that's a Buffalo Bills team without Ed Oliver. And I know that sometimes you look into unavailable guys and injuries a lot, but it is such a factor that it needs to be talked about without a doubt in this one. For LA, they have been one of the most healthy teams throughout the entire season. Puka Nacua has been dinged up here and there, but he has been available. 7 catches for 75 yards against Seattle. Very efficient. It was interesting. Davante Adams, 1 catch for the touchdown down there right by the goal line. He was targeted 8 times. Stafford and him not quite in sync. A drop here or there from Adams. Their connection not quite that strong, but again, that's a bit of a testament to the Seattle Seahawks secondary with Devin Witherspoon, Woolen, Emenwari. They've got a ton of ball players in that secondary, as well as a very good front 4. So this NFC is loaded with talent. The team that comes out of this one might just have to be the healthiest, and Tampa Bay hasn't been that overall. This is a very tough test going into what will be a very loud environment. I wasn't at the Seattle and LA game, although I do live in the Los Angeles area in the South Bay. That was easily one of the louder environments that you could hear through the television sets. 7-2 teams going at it. NFC West all alone, first place in the division, on the line in that one. And LA is able to put up that type of performance, forcing 4 interceptions from Sam Darnold. I mean, this was a Sam Darnold that had been precise throughout the season. He had not been, I would say, as in the earlier parts of his career, he turned the ball over. And then throughout the last 2 seasons, downfield passing attack, turned the ball over a little bit, and then he has turned it over but not to the level he had earlier in his career. Him and Jackson Smith and Jigba have been spectacular, and they force 4 interceptions. Anytime that you do that, they're going to have a great chance to win in the NFL or any level of football. It's just LA. Turnovers of themselves. Third down and short, the Rams were abysmal in this game. Every chance that they practically had to help themselves out, they were 2 of 11 on third down. That just cannot happen. Started off the game turning the football over on downs on a 4th down. It looked like Stafford could have hit his man out in the flat for a conversion. So this LA team, they got it done with defense and they got it done with efficiency. Matthew Stafford not turning it over. Another 2 touchdown, no interception performance from him. He's playing the best football of any quarterback in the league. And those conversations about Baker Mayfield in the MVP talks were warranted in the way he had played earlier in the season. I think the injuries have impacted that. So stylistically for Tampa Bay in this game, I believe it looks a lot similar to the way they played against Buffalo. It's pounding the football. You know what the Rams offense is. Nacua and Adams, arguably the best duo of wide receivers in the NFL this season. Adams, the most receiving touchdowns of anyone in the league. So when you have a 1A, 1B like that, or a threat like Adams in the red zone, and especially on third down, you got to try and keep the football away from them. You're doing that by running the football. And Rashad White, Sean Tucker, they've been developing really well. Baker Mayfield scrambling for 40 yards. I don't know quite how you can rely on that, especially against a guy like Nate Landman, who's going to be looking to decapitate Baker Mayfield if he wants to get outside the pocket and extend plays. This is a Rams defense that really has so much athleticism and speed, and the front 4 just gets enough penetration up front. You don't really have enough time to scramble. And Sam Darnold, his athletic profile is quite similar. Baker's probably a little bit quicker and more mobile. You look back to his career at Oklahoma, he did a very good job of extending. But again, that's not his full calling card. He's using his legs for an element of extending plays so that he can find guys downfield. So I think that they're going to have to run the football around 35 times to beat LA. That looks like over 4.5 yards a carry. They're going to have to do that. And then Baker Mayfield not turning the ball over. Can't turn the ball over against this Rams team. They did struggle to capitalize against Seattle, but feels like the Rams have been a team that can overcome some of their own inefficiencies throughout the year on offense by great play in the biggest moments from Stafford, as well as their defense coming up with necessary stops. So this Tampa Bay team is fully up against, if not the best team in the conference, this is the second best team in the conference right now. The way that they're playing in all phases, coached so well with Shula and Sean McVay offensively calling plays, that's as good as it gets. So Todd Bowles, as a defensive-minded guy in going up against this attack, as well as formulating an offensive game plan and talking with the staff for this one, really believe it's going to come down. We want to be in a one-score game in the fourth quarter. We felt comfortable in those moments earlier in the season. Let's get back to that, because the game against Buffalo got away a slight bit from us where we didn't feel comfortable. Wasn't fully a one-score game. Against New England, it was a bit like that, but it fully wasn't the one-score game. They had the late touchdown score to pull within it, but wasn't your true one-score game. And then the Detroit Lions, all of these 3 losses for them haven't been towards the end. They've been really trying to come back there at the end of the fourth quarter, and it's been a little bit too late. And the sloppier play from the first 3 quarters, I know Tampa and Buffalo were back and forth in this one overall. And Josh Allen, 3 touchdowns through the air, 3 with his legs. Unreal. Second time he's ever done that. I think he did it last year. I'm not mistaken. But this is a Tampa team that will have to run the football. Again, this Rams defense, they have 10 interceptions on the year. That's the same as Tampa's. Both are tied for 3rd most in the league. Rams at 27 sacks on the year. That's 9th most. Tampa's with 10. The main differential is going to be the points per game that the Rams are giving up. They're only giving up 17 points a game. That's number 2 in the league. They've been very good at that. And then Tampa Bay, 25 points a game. You're talking about an 8-point differential. So that's massive, especially at this level. The yards a game, Rams at 360, that's 8th in the league. So you're talking about a bona fide top 5 defense, truly top 5. No arguments that they're not top 5. And then a top 8 offense, 6th in the league in points a game, 8th yards that we just mentioned. So this is a Super Bowl caliber team. The Los Angeles Rams had that matchup against the Lions, right, on the road 2 years ago, came up just shy. The Lions and what they were that season, falling just short against the 49ers. So a great season overall from the Rams with the slow start. And then last year, slow start once again. They wind up pulling out the division, and they give the Eagles the toughest test of anybody in the postseason. If it doesn't snow, they beat Philly. There's a lot at the end, a lot of ifs, but they have a chance at the end to score a touchdown. Ball is at about the 20-yard line to beat Philadelphia. And then there's this season where they're putting it all together right now, and they truly do look like a title contender, easily a top 5 team in the league right now. And if you pick them to be the representatives in the NFC, couldn't blame it. And then what's scary is they right now have 2 first-round picks in the 2026 NFL Draft. Atlanta is at the number 8 spot overall. It's possible that the Rams could have the entire season go on a run, as well as having a top 10 pick in the draft, as well as their own first-round pick. It's just ridiculous to think about how strong this team will be. Stafford playing the best football of his whole career in his 17th season, which is just truly remarkable. So we got to take all of that into consideration for a matchup like this. That's a Tampa Bay team going in there to SoFi Stadium where it's not a fan base, and I'm not being disrespectful to a fan base, but in the way that Seattle travels very well, the Niners, of course, they do. Teams like the Dallas Cowboys, the Green Bay Packers, there's certain organizations that have fan bases that travel. Tampa Bay will not provide the type of environment where the Rams will feel like they're on the road. SoFi Stadium, you could see in texting with people that I know were at the game, there were a decent amount of Ram fans there. It wasn't fully the way that it has been with the Niner games. Like they come down from the north and turned into Levi's South. That wasn't quite the case this past week. SoFi Stadium was loud. You could hear it, raucous, feeling like a true environment. It's taking time for LA to really recognize this team as a superpower, something that could be respected the way that the Dodgers are. Of course, that will take time, but really believe that they're starting to an easy team to root for. So Tampa Bay, how are they going to pull off this upset against the Los Angeles Rams? They are a 6.5 point, almost a full touchdown underdog. And it's like, wow, the Tampa Bay team has been this good, a touchdown underdog. But then you start to unpeel it and look at their injuries, the way that the Rams are playing on this win streak. It's like, okay, well, that makes sense. 34% chance that Tampa wins this game to a 65.5 that the Rams do. All of that starts to stack up to a point where you're like, well, who's a guy for Tampa that can have a large impact and really make the difference? Of course, besides Baker, it's a guy like Emeka, Egbuka, a wide receiver, against this Rams secondary that is very good all around, but that's not the strength of the Rams defense. The strength of the Rams defense is in the teeth. Front four, the linebacking core, Nate Landman's in the consideration right now to be probably a second-team All-Pro, first-team All-Pro, that type of player that he's been. So Emeka, Egbuka, is there a guy for LA, like an Emmanuel Forbes, can they go man on man and cover Egbuka, who can move into the slot? He can play on the perimeter at X or F. He can play any position that you need him to on the outside, moving him around in that versatility. So he's a type of a guy, if he has one of those Jackson Smith and Jigba type impacts. JSN really didn't have a whole lot going there in that second half. 12 targets, 9 catches. Barner, 10 catches on 11 targets. Those were really the main 2 guys that got it done for Seattle. A couple of receptions for backs out of the backfield. That's going to be necessary for one of these guys to go off. If I were to circle someone, I would go with Egbuka in this game. Then defensively, it's got to be pressure on Matthew Stafford. For the most part against Seattle, Matthew Stafford was sitting there in clean pockets, having time to throw. Seattle was moving there. It wasn't like he had all day. He didn't get sacked, though. Didn't get thrown to the ground. The Rams didn't get to Sam Darnold. No sacks on him. So it's interesting what felt like dominant defensive performances. Front lines getting after it. Neither team had a sack. The Rams didn't even have a tackle for loss in this game. It was more so just them getting to the vicinity, the pressure on Sam Darnold that forced some inadvertent and just some throws that he definitely would like back, inaccurate, forcing the football downfield, and the Rams just being opportunistic enough to take the football away. So for Tampa, it's that defensive line. If the Rams are able to run the football, Kyren Williams was an element of this game that I thought going in against Seattle, he'd be important to alleviate some of the pressure on the shoulders of number 9. But he had 12 carries for 91 yards, only 12. And you would have thought, all right, he's going to get the football a bit more the way that he's running 7.5 yards a carry, maybe give him the ball a bit more. That didn't quite happen. Then Blake Corum, 8 carries for 10 yards. So sometimes you got to ride the hot hand a little bit. This running back duo has been great for LA the whole year. But overall, that wasn't the type of ground day you would have expected overall. You would have thought that against Seattle, you might end up having an attack where you run the football more than you throw it in the way that secondary overall had been playing. But a win is a win, especially in the very tough NFC West division that certainly will be getting 2 teams in the playoff. They're going to fight like heck to also probably get the San Francisco 49ers team in. That is now, 7-4 overall on the season, so they're battling for positioning. But Tampa Bay, them and Carolina, they're fighting. If you had a Carolina win this upcoming week, I believe they play the Saints. If they won that game and a Tampa loss, Tampa actually moves behind the Carolina Panthers, who would be 7-5. Tampa would be 6-5. Tampa does play Carolina twice towards the end of the season, twice in the last 3 weeks. It's in their control. After this Rams game, it's smooth sailing. It's the Saints, Falcons, Panthers twice, and the Dolphins. So the final 6, really manageable. This team looks like if they were to lose a game to LA, go to 6-5, I've got no doubt that they can win 5 of their last 6, finish this year really strong, getting to 11-6 overall. That's what I've got overall. Tampa Bay pegged as an 11-6 team, winning the NFC South. I know that playoff positioning and seeding is quite important. This team feels like the 4 seed will about be theirs. The North, as I feel like the winner of that division will be about 12-5, most likely. They potentially 11-6, and if there's a breaker there, like if the Lions are 11-6, Tampa were 11-6, they'd have the tiebreaker over them. But still quite a bit to sort out there. Whereas Los Angeles Rams, does that loss to the Eagles wind up coming back to haunt them from a blocked kick to go up by, I think, 2 scores and they're up 8, or a blocked kick to win that game that they don't end up being able to capitalize on at the end of that game against Philadelphia. So these are massive matchups within the conference. LA really trying to just put pedal to the metal. That 1 seed is pivotal for health, having fresh players in the deep parts of the year, and those guys being available is critical for Tampa Bay. It's a stretch to the end that does get a bit of help, I'll say, here after what will be the toughest game of the season. I know the Lions was tough. I know at Buffalo was tough, but this looks to be a monumental task going up against this very good, if not great, Rams team. I think they really are borderline great right now overall on the year. So I'm going to go with my prediction here overall. I'm sure it's not going to surprise you based off sort of the tone overall on this game. I think the Rams pass rush gets home. Baker will be very good at times. I think this is a 264-yard passing, 2 touchdown, and an interception type day for him. But a completion percentage somewhere around 60, like completing 26 of about 40 or so passes overall, 41 passes overall on the day, and not being incredibly efficient. And then that ground game struggling against the Rams. And then another clean day from Matthew Stafford, something like 21 of 29, 263 and 2 touchdowns, maybe interception, potentially not, as he's protected the football as well as anybody. I got the Rams 31-23, a comfortable win at home on Sunday night as they continue to chug along, looking to just about, they wouldn't be clinching a playoff spot by about Thanksgiving. But after this game, they've got 2 road games, the Panthers and the Cardinals. They actually could help Tampa Bay out there. And then another divisional test. They've got the Cardinals twice in the final 6 games that they have. The Falcons are in there. So it's really going to come down to this game. They're playing the Lions December 14th and the Seahawks December 18th. So they play them twice in 5 days. That's their season. That's going to ultimately decide what LA is. Are they going to be in a prime position to win the division at a record like 13-4? That's what I have the Rams pegged as, finishing the year going 5-2 down the stretch. 2 losses, would those be in the combination of that Tampa, Lions, Seattle games? Is there a fluke or a loss somewhere against the team that they should beat? But 13-4 seems to be about the right record prediction for the Rams, right there, either the 1 or the 2 seed in the conference overall. Philadelphia, that schedule does ease up a bit for them. Like, they've got the Cowboys again. They've got the Commanders twice. So Philadelphia will be a tough team to keep pace on, and the Rams will have to have a better record than them to get overall that 1 seed, which will be just certainly pivotal for the playoffs this season. It really helps overall. But again, like you saw, the Detroit Lions last year had the 1 seed, and they got knocked out once Washington came in there in that round because they were not healthy. So I appreciate you so much for watching. Let me know what you think of my prediction. 31-23, Rams get it done at home at SoFi Stadium. Going to be an incredible environment. If you enjoyed this Blitz with Winter video, please subscribe for more content in the future. It's free, doesn't cost you anything. Just helps me grow this show out. Again, I'm Josh Blender, making NFL and college content every day, getting you set and ready for these matchups. Towards the end of November now, these games get critical. 2 of the best teams in the NFC going head to head. The Rams look like one of the best teams in the conference. Tampa Bay is battling their tail off. They've been very good the last 5 seasons. You go back to that divisional game in 2021, tie game. I think it was like a 3rd down. Stafford hits Cooper Kupp, and the Rams end up not blowing what was like a 27 or 25 point lead that they had in that game in the divisional round against Tampa Bay. Tampa obviously won the Super Bowl the year prior at Raymond James. So 2 teams that have been great right near or at the top of the conference for the last half decade, and certainly are going to continue to do that for another half decade with where the rosters look like. So very happy for both of these programs, and let's go out and have a fun watch. Sunday night from SoFi Stadium doesn't get much better than that. So thank you so much for watching. Again, subscribe for more if you enjoyed and want to follow up with the NFL and college games throughout the rest of the season, and I will see you next time.